If you can shop, you can invest. Investing is literally just online shopping. It's basically the same steps. You already know how to do it. You just don't realize that you know how to do it. I know that investing sounds scary. I know it sounds like it's something from the Wolf of Wall Street, but I promise you, if you can shop, you can invest. It's the same thing. And by the end of this video, you're going to feel so much more comfortable about investing, and future you is going to be that much closer to creating wealth. Did you know that if you just leave your money sitting in a regular savings account, inflation is going to make that money worth less and less over time? Like a dollar today could be worth maybe 75 cents a decade from now, because when it sits in a savings account, it's basically doing nothing. Like it's really just sitting there. A regular savings account, they may offer some type of interest rate, but it would be like 0.1%. Versus if you put your money in the stock market, on average, it can return from 8 to 10% per year. That's why when you're investing, you are basically like shopping for money to have in the future. All right, we're doing this. Investing 101, but make it shopping. So, when you shop, you have to go somewhere, right? You have to go to a store or you go to a website. So anything like Amazon, Walmart, Sephora, wherever you like to shop, but you have to go there. You don't just pull out your credit card or debit card and magically stuff arrives at your door, right? You have to pick a store. Investing is the same way, but instead of a store, we call it a brokerage. And this is a platform that is designed for you to buy and sell stocks and other types of investments. And there's lots of different ones that you can choose from. Some really popular ones are Fidelity, Vanguard, Charles Schwab. You want one that is free to use, free to open, and does not require any minimums for you to invest. So even if you have like $50 to start off with, that is enough to start investing. For me, I use Fidelity. That's because my first job, their 401k was with Fidelity, and I've just kept them ever since. But I don't really think that you can go wrong. Just pick one that you like. Doesn't really matter, just pick one, because that is step one. Okay, let's move on to step two. Now we have a store. We have walked inside the store, or if it's online, you are on the store's website, right? But before you just start pulling things off the shelves, you can't carry all that. You need something to put it in, right? So if you're in a store, you would put it in, maybe if you're from the South like me, you'd call it a buggy, or, a basket, or whatever people up north call it. But with investing, you call it your account type. This is where you're actually going to put the investments. And there are multiple types of accounts. There's the 401k, the 403b, the IRA, the HSA, just a regular brokerage account. There's lots of different options. Let me know if you want a separate video where I can describe what all those different types of accounts are. But for the sake of this video, we are going to focus on the individual retirement account, better known as the IRA. And an IRA can be either traditional or it can be Roth. If it's Roth, that means that you put money in the Roth IRA after you've already paid taxes on it, which means as your money grows inside the Roth IRA, it will grow tax-free. So when the day comes, when you pull the money out of the Roth IRA, you will not have to pay taxes on it. They change the limits for how much you can invest inside of a IRA every year, but this year, according to my notes, the limit is $7,500. Or if you do that monthly, that would be $625 a month. Now, if you're thinking, oh, I can't do that, that is way too much for me to be doing every single month, that's okay. Start where you're at. Just do as much as you can. Okay, now let's actually shop. And I know it can be a little overwhelming at first because there's just so many options. You may have heard of things like, yes, stocks, but then index funds, ETFs, mutual funds, REITs, like all these different options, right? But let's think about it in much more simple terms. If you buy a stock, you are buying one piece or one share of a company. But you don't have to buy individual items or stocks. Instead, you can buy a bundle, or you can think about it like a variety pack. Think about it like candy. Let's say you wanted to buy a piece of the company Hershey's. And that may seem great because it's like everybody loves Hershey's. However, what happens if one day the company Hershey's goes out of business? Then all of the money that you put into this company gets lost. You lose your money because the company went out of business. However, what if you bought multiple candy companies? What if you had Reese's and Lifesavers, Mike and Ike's, and Hershey's? You had all these different candies. You bought a group of candy companies. So if one day Hershey's does go out of business, it doesn't affect you that much because you still have stocks in these other companies. What I just described is basically an index fund. Instead of one company, you bought pieces of a whole bunch of companies and you put it all in one basket that we're going to call an index fund. If you've ever heard of the S&P 500, that's a really popular one. That is an example of an index fund. It tracks the top 500 companies in the US. So, especially as a beginner, I would not suggest just buying individual stocks and instead play it safe and get something like an index fund. And I'll put on the screen different examples of index funds and you can look them up and see which one you'd want to buy. But that's where I would start if I was a beginner. And I wanted to include something. This is something that a lot of people mess up when it comes to investing. They open an investment account, they put money in it, but they don't actually do anything with the money. They're using it like it's a savings account. And a lot of people don't understand that. And I don't want you to make that mistake. I have made that mistake. I had money sitting in my Roth IRA for like a year and I thought that I was investing, but I wasn't because I didn't actually buy the index funds. So basically, don't forget that you have to check out. That would be the same thing as going in the store, putting stuff in your basket, and then just standing there and thinking that it's yours. You actually have to check out. So you log into your account, you grab the index funds, you put them in your basket, you buy them, aka checking out. Another thing that confuses people about investing is they're not sure when is the best time to invest. And that's because nobody knows when is the best time to invest. Not me, not you, not the finance bros on TikTok, nobody. And if they do know, that's actually called insider trading, which is a crime. But what we do know is this: trying to time the stock market almost always backfires. And studies show that time in the market beats trying to time the market. And if we compare that to shopping, it's kind of like saying you would be better off just staying on a company's website for as long as you can versus trying to guess when they would have a sale. And since it's really hard to guess when is the best time to buy, what you want to do with investing is called dollar cost averaging, which is a very fancy term, which simply means that you invest the same amount of money on the same time every single time consistently. So let's say you have $100 and every first of the month you invest $100 and you do that every single month for the next 30 years. That would be dollar cost averaging. So it doesn't matter whether the market is doing really well. It doesn't matter if the market is doing really bad. You don't pay attention to the news. You don't let that scare you. All you do is the exact same thing every single month, no matter what the market is doing. So with that $100, when the market is doing well and prices are higher, that $100 would get you less shares. But if the market is doing bad and prices drop, that means that $100 can get you more shares. So it's basically like you're buying things on a discount. And over time, like years or decades, all of this will average out. So you don't have to stress about knowing when is the right time to buy. Which leads me to another rule: you do not sell your stocks just because things look scary. So if you look at any year that the stock market went down, the people who sold because they got scared, the people who sold their stocks, that all they did was lock in on those losses. But people who hold on to their investments when the stock market goes down, they recover over time. You're not sure exactly how long it will take to recover, but as long as you hold on to your stocks and your investments, you will recover it over time. Because remember, when stocks go down, that literally means that they are having a sale. They're having a buy one, get one free sale, basically. And historically, a lot of people got rich because they were able to invest when the stock market went down. Think about people like during 2020 when everything was falling apart, like the world was falling apart. Those people who had disposable income and chose to invest, they made money off of those investments. Either people got rich or rich people got even richer. So the goal is to hold on to your investments as long as possible. And remember, all of this is fake money until you actually sell. All of it is fake money. This is basically monopoly money until you choose to actually sell it. It's similar to owning a house. If you own a house that is worth $500,000, you know that doesn't mean that you have $500,000 in your bank account. It means you own something that is worth 500, but you don't actually get that money until you sell your house. Now, if you sell your house during a time when the housing market goes down and that $500,000 house turns into only being worth 400,000, and that's when you choose to sell, then that's all the money that you're going to get. But if you hold on to it and maybe a few years or a decade or however long later, that $500,000 house turns into a $600,000 house, and at that point you choose to sell, then you walk away with $600,000. So it's not real until you sell it. So if you sell when the market is down, then you are cheating yourself out of profits that you would have had if you just held on to it for longer. And with investing, the longer you hold on to your investments, the more compound interest can do its job. If you are 25 and you invest $5 a day every day until you are 55, by the end of those 30 years, you would have had over $200,000 invested. However, in that same scenario, instead of investing it, if you just put $5 into a bank account, you would only have about $54,000. So that is the difference between just saving your money and investing your money. So again, tying it back into shopping, no returns, no refunds. You buy it, you keep it until you're ready to sell. But that shouldn't be for decades at this point, depending on how old you are. So you officially know how to invest so you can go off and shop. Congratulations. However, I did want to mention a couple things that you want to have already handled before you start investing. If you do not have an emergency fund, you probably shouldn't start investing yet. In this economy and this job market, it's really important to have a savings account and an emergency savings account. Aim for anywhere from 3 to 6 months. If you want to be really, really cautious about it, you can aim for 12 months, but definitely within that 3 to 6 month range, that's what you want to build up to. And then also, if you have other forms of debt, like high interest debt, then you should probably pause your investing. So high interest debt, anything that's over 8%. So high interest credit cards, if you have a really high interest car loan, you want to take care of those things and get those paid off. And the reason for that is if your debt is over 8%, then it's going to be really hard to outperform what the stock market would do. So remember, the best time to start investing would have been 10 years ago, or even better, when you were 18. However, you can't change the past, but you can change what you do now. And you may think that investing is for rich people, and that is very backwards thinking. Investing is how you get rich. It's how you make money. And the more you wait, the more expensive it will be to get started, the more you will have to invest every month. So let's do a recap for those of us who like an overall summary. Number 1, pick your store. That would be like a Fidelity or a Vanguard. Number 2, choose your cart, a basket to put all of your investments in. So for this example, we picked an IRA. Number 3, actually shop. If you are a beginner, you should probably look into things like index funds. That way you can keep it simple. You can be in and out. You don't have to do a whole bunch of research trying to pick individual stocks all day. Number 4, actually check out. You put the investments in your basket, in your shopping cart, and then you actually buy them. Do not skip this step. It's literally the most important one, and a lot of people skip it. Number 5, shop on a schedule. You are going to be a regular shopper. You're going to go in that store once a month, and you're going to spend the same amount of money every time. And number 6, no refunds, no returns. You are buying this for the long term, as in decades. And you only sell when you are ready to live off of your investments. And kind of like a bonus step, number 7, Before you do all this, make sure you have an emergency fund and make sure you don't have any high interest debt. Okay, y'all, I hope this video was helpful. I know that investing sounds intimidating and it sounds, really like complicated and all these different steps, but hopefully this showed that it's really not. It is shopping. It's basically just shopping. So I hope this video helped. If you have any other questions, leave them down below. Maybe I can make some other videos about investing to help you understand different parts of it. So yeah, leave some comments. Make sure you are subscribed. We're trying to get to 100,000 subscribers on the channel this year, so help us out with that goal. And other than that, I will see you in the next video.